as Simpson, along with my trusty co host, Mr. Paul Hoyt. And this is another episode of Curing Racism, when we come together to really uncover our CABs, our commonly accepted biases that lead to our subconscious bias reflexes, so that we create a space for better leadership, more love, more productivity, and an even greater planet to live in. So, Paul,
Hey,
thank you for joining us again today, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing really awesome. Getting ready to bring 2025 to a close and celebrate a little bit tonight, and then start in for a wonderful and marvelous 2026.
Yes, we are closing out 2025, and I think we're closing it out with a really good topic: clarity, being the greatest gift a leader can give. Why do
Uh,
you Why do you think that is such a great gift to any company, organization? Let's even take it even to your family, right? Why is clarity, right, the greatest gift a leader can give?
I'll answer that question in kind of a roundabout way. About 10 years ago, I created a personal coaching system called the Power of Certainty. And we identified 12 different energies, or what I called portals of power at the time there. And clarity was number two as the second most powerful portal there was. When you are very, very clear on what you want to accomplish and very clear on the roles that you want other people to play, it unleashes incredible personal power. So when we are clear, for example, in an organization about what our goals are, our objectives are, the plan that we have in place, and everybody's role, it really contributes enormously to teamwork and the overall efficiency of the organization. When we are clear on why things happen, when we are clear on the impact that they have, it can bring great personal power because we feel very confident and very certain when we speak about those things. So, over the 10 years that we've been working together, Paz, we have gained great clarity on the subject of racism. Why it started in the first place, why we as human beings have a tribal instinct, why we have an in-group bias, why it persists, why it has been universal around the entire world for the most part, and the impact that it has, the negative impact that it has. And that clarity has given us the opportunity to share that understanding with other people so that they can realize what's going on and the damage that it is causing, and they can overcome it in the same way that we have.
I love what you're talking about here. Um, when I think of clarity being the greatest gift, um, I think of water, right? Our body is 98% water. The world is mostly water. Water is clear, right? There's a that clarity in water is revitalizing, it's rejuvenating, right? That clarity can clear up anything. If you drink enough water, you can look as young as Paul, you know. So, clarity. Uh, and one of the things that I've understood in because I've been blessed to do leadership in many different faces and factions, right? I I work on the nonprofit side. I choose to focus on helping people coming home from prison and people that are, gang affiliated. But then we also work on the corporate side. And what we've learned in all of those things, right? Being able to be clear with your communication not only is empowering, right? It is also freeing, right? Because that's one less thought someone has to carry because you're very clear on what you want, very clear on where you're going, right? Very clear on your boundaries. I think a lot of times what we're not clear on are our boundaries. And then we get mad when a teammate or a subordinate may have, you know, poo pooed in your lawn, but they didn't even know that was your lawn. They still thought they were on their side of the fence, right? But it's being clear allows, right, for at least understanding to be gained, a bridge to be built, and maybe some love to find its way in.
I love it. I love it. And to come back to the subject of racism a little bit and clarity on that, uh, let's focus on why this is important. One of the reasons it's important is because of the moral imperative. You know, every major spiritual system that there is talks about something around the golden rule. You know, treat your brother as yourself. Treat other people the way that you would want them to treat you. Or in my case, I love even more the platinum rule, which is treat other people in the way that you would want them to treat your children and your grandchildren. So there
Mm,
is this moral imperative towards treating other people the way that we really want to treat them. The other reason why, there's two more reasons I want to talk about. One of them is the practical advantages. You know, when you push down any group in society, you essentially lower the income levels of everyone on average. You create a big disparity that it increases crime, that increases poverty. You've oftentimes says, your poverty is the real crime. That people who are optimistic and know that they have a future and know that they have a way of earning money for themselves that is reliable and secure, and when they feel safe, you know, they don't typically create crimes. They don't commit crimes. So there's a huge practical advantage of overcoming prejudice, of overcoming discrimination, of embracing diversity,
mm,
and who loving people who don't look like you and talk like you and dress like you, etc. And the third reason is personal growth. You know, when we are very clear on the way the human mind works and the way that we form in group biases and the negative impact of that and how that causes the subconscious bias reflex, um, we can overcome that. And it's tremendous, tremendous benefit to ourselves as part of our own journey in personal and spiritual growth.
I love that. What I what I hear loud and clear there is that in curing racism, what we're really working on is putting humanity back at its optimum rate, right? When you hold down anyone, you can't be reaching up for anything, right? So, as as a as a human race, because we are spending more reasons looking for division instead of looking for unity, we're not getting the best out of what we can have. And I think curing racism allows you to get the best out of more situations. I'm blessed because um, someone said that curing racism isn't a book we wrote; it's a way we live.
Mm.
Um, Both yourself and myself, when you fell in love with when you tell your story about your nephew, your niece that you fell in love with, and just the life situations that I've been in, right? You know, I've usually been the only piece of pepper in the salt shaker, and I've always said that it is my job to make everything feel like a 1980s rap song, right? Salt and peppers here, salt and peppers here, right? We're all together, you know. Um, so just my presence in a lot of spaces has been a curing racism situation because you got to get to know me, right? You can't avoid me. You know, we laugh at Lehigh University when we were at school. We were the largest black class Lehigh had, and there was still only 72 of us. Right? So, for a lot of those students, we were the first interaction with someone out of their normal tribe outside of watching us on television. But then I grew up in Harlem. So you would even have people within a tribe that looks like me
Hmm.
misjudging. Because, like, you live in Harlem. Isn't that like a third world country? Like, huh? Like all of the death and I'm like, it's like anywhere else. It's full of love, right?
Yeah,
Right. If we focus on being the love that we would love to receive, then curing racism becomes just part of who we are.
I think that is just an absolute great resolution for 2026, to make that the year of love. 2025, to be very clear, was a year of polarization. It was a year of damn those Democrats and damn those Republicans. It was a year of misogyny, of racism, of trying to put an end to DEI programs, of people believing that we don't have to do anything about this problem. It's like not only ignoring the problem, but throwing fuel on the fire to the problem. So if 2025 is a year of polarization and damn those other people, let's make 2026 a year of love. Let's make it a year of understanding. Let's make it a year of being clear on what it means to be human, what it means to have an in group bias, and the advantages from a societal point of view, from a moral imperative point of view, from a personal growth point of view, of overcoming that and doing what we can to eliminate the polarization, as you have, added to the subtitle of our book, one conversation, one connection, one heart at a time, one loving expression at a time, one beautiful embracing of the divinity that we all have within us at a time.
I love that. I keep keep it as real simple, right? If we spend 2026 speaking our heart, we will never mind. Right?
Love
And
it.
yes. So I am so grateful, Paul, that I have been able, and we're really coming into helping others,
Yeah.
not just cure racism, but really understand, what does leadership look like. You know, leadership doesn't have a color, leadership doesn't have a size, leadership doesn't have a shape, right? Leadership is something that is done with conviction, with clarity. Leadership is something that's done with love, right? Because if you are truly the leader, things don't, crap doesn't run downhill. Somehow it should roll uphill.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, I think that leaders should take um, real personal responsibility for leading their organization, for serving those that work with them and for them in a way to help them as much as you can possibly do. I think that that's what a leader's real responsibility is to not only manage the organization, but to lift up everybody who they work with and all of their customers and clients, etc.
Yes.
And,
Um,
and one real quick promotion, if I can, if you haven't done so already, go to curingracism.com and sign up for our newsletters and get notices of these podcasts, etc. Go to Amazon and find the book Curing Racism. It's available in both Kindle and paperback form. It's not very expensive at all. We priced it so that everybody could afford it and gain the wisdom that we share in the book Curing Racism so that you can be very clear on the causes and the cures. As we like to say, once you really understand the cause of racism, the cures become obvious. Once you learn to overcome the superficial differences that divide us, you will discover the common values that unite us.
Yes, yes. And thank you for taking the time to not just remind people that there is a tangible copy that they can hold on to, something that they can read, study, learn outside of just waiting for our Wednesdays and, our big workshop that's coming up in January. So we're almost 3 weeks away, 3 or 4 weeks away from our big workshop, our 90-minute workshop, where we'll give you a deep dive into what does leadership look like, what does you know examining your cabs look like, what does you know dealing with your sub-bias reflexes look like, not just personally but within organizations, within teams. I think you said it really well. Our big brother, David Corbin, has a book called Brand Slaughter. And one of the things in that book it talks about is that everyone in your company, right, is in customer service, whether they know it or not, right? The janitor is in customer service because if they don't clean the bathrooms well and someone walks in and the bathrooms smell bad, that's a bad feeling on the customer. The secretary is in customer service because if she answers the phone with a nasty attitude, you know, it may turn off the client, right? The salesperson is in customer service because he not only has to convince the client to become a client, he should be able to nurture the client to remain a client, right? And then when we start going through, every level up, right? One of the things I say, if your if your bottom level employees don't know something, it's the manager's job to know and to teach. If the manager doesn't know something, it's senior leadership's job to teach and understand. If senior leadership doesn't know what to do, then it's up to the CEO to teach so that we are now shaping the parameters of what this company looks like. And if the CEO doesn't know, somebody better find God because I don't think this company's going to last very long. So, you know,
Well, that's just a taste of some conversations that we'll have next year when it comes to leadership, um, and the importance of being able to treat everybody fairly, and the importance of recognizing human frailties and the opportunities that each and every one of us have to lift others up, whether we're leaders or just the person in the desk next to theirs. We all have the opportunity every day and in 2026 and every year that comes thereafter to lift other people up with our positive energy, no matter what they look like, no matter what their heritage is, their ethnic background, to see them all as, as brothers and sisters, to see the greatness within them, help them discover it for themselves and help them lift that up. That's part of the message of curing racism. That's part of the message we want everybody to hear for 2026. Let's make this the most loving, the most kind, the wisest year that we can possibly make it by loving each other, by supporting each other, by understanding each other, by lifting each other up. And thanks, Paz, for helping me get lifted up and for helping me have the opportunity to lift other people up in the ways that I can. We appreciate you.
oh man, I appreciate you, my brother. I appreciate your persistence. I appreciate your consistency. I appreciate that, as we turn your uh, brainchild into our baby, that we were able to come together to build something amazing. So
Amen.
it is my honor, right, to work with you as we come into this new year. We get to you'll have a whole year of us, right, working with you, curing racism, working with you to increase the love, but more importantly, working with you to increase the optimum productivity of your life, your company, and this thing that we call humanity.
Amen, brother. Happy New Year, Paz. Happy New Year to everybody. We'll see you in 2026.
Happy New Year, everyone.